We are live, Arsenal Fan Circle. It is the Sunday show, Season 3, Episode 18. Apologies, everyone. I'm the one who's a little bit late today, a little bit tardy. Just driving back responsibly, trying to get here on time for everyone. But we're all in good spirits, I hope, right? Finally. Gary.
Wow,
Thanks for joining me again, Gary and Adam.
Hello, Ray.
No problem
Anthony.
at all. Thank you for the invite, mate.
And as we have written into Republic of Arsenal's podcast here, Anthony, he only joins us when Arsenal win.
Yeah, you might not be thinking too much of me, but here I am. I'm back a lot sooner than I was expecting, to be honest. So.
We thought it'd be 2025 or something like that, so we got another win.
At least.
That desperate, Anthony.
Yeah, at least. But look, hey, I'm more than happy and delighted we finally got the win, and I'm back.
Great to have you on board as usual, and Adam just wanted to get in on the party as well. So welcome on board, everybody.
No problem at all. Hope everyone had a good Christmas.
Yeah, I hope everybody had a good Christmas, and we will get one more show in before the end of the year. It'll probably be Wednesday. Just give everybody a heads up there. We'll do something Wednesday, and you can celebrate New Year's Eve on the Thursday. Sounds like a plan to me anyway. So get a few comments in here. Ray, I know it'll be a great show as usual, and 3 points usually helps, right? Can Arsenal build on the result from yesterday? And we'll be asking the folks here as well. Welcome to the Sunday show. Thanks, Gary. Welcome to the pod. Show will be starting in a few minutes late. So as I said, that's on me, folks. Urban Ghost, thanks for being here. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to all the Gooners out there. Finally able to celebrate. I was away from work for about 10 or 14 days, and I'm just so happy to witness a win. Finally, I didn't want to go back to work, having not witnessed that win. And Steve Denham, thanks for joining us. So the first thing we're going to get into, start off with Gary, is your initial thoughts on the lineup, Gary.
Yeah, that's where we go to now, right? Before we can figure out if we want to be happy or sad. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 hour before kickoff, we always check it out, right?
Yeah, I was looking at it before the game, and I said in another pod that I was looking at early in the day that if I see two of either William, Xhaka, or Hector, that it's going to be a struggle for us today. And then we hear the news that Gabriel's going to be out. And then you sent me your lineup, and I'm like, you're missing someone. And then I find out, he's not going to be there. I'm like, oh, I am so far behind. So another challenge. And then to actually see both, Xhaka and Bellerin in there, that kind of like, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a struggle. But then I got happy because I saw Martinelli and Emile Smith-Rowe in there, and that was nice to see. So I wanted to see how that was going to work, and we got to see a good game out of it. So, yeah, that was positive. I didn't see on the bench Balogun, so that kind of led, and I think we're probably never going to see him on the bench, it seems. If we're not going to see him in that game and in the past games, I have a feeling his time here is gone, which is sad. It's a mistake. Arsenal has messed up again. Hopefully it doesn't come back and haunt them as much as we fear. But yeah, the lineup, having those two in there was a struggle, but then having Martinelli and Emile Smith-Rowe gave me happiness, and I was looking forward to seeing how they would work out based on their past. So, no Aubameyang also, right? Another hiccup, right?
Yeah.
So everything just came in. So yeah, but I should let others have a say as well. Sorry.
Thank you. We're going to be here for about 90 minutes, folks. So get your questions in there, and we'll have enough to go around for everybody here. And Mahir is going to join us hopefully as well. Robin, evening to you as well, Robin. And Anthony. It's just nice to savor a win. Finally, it's been since was it November 1st?
Yeah, November, Man United, and since I started my podcast, we haven't had a league win. So I was starting to think we should be.
I sent in the closure notices for you, but you got lucky.
I haven't recorded for the game. the Chelsea game, and I'm kind of thinking maybe it's time just to pack it in. Maybe we might win the league and we never record again. So yeah, no, unreal though, unbelievable, and it's a double win for me because, as I said before, you'll see me back on the show as soon as we get a win. So I didn't have to wait too long. So
yeah, it's written into your contract that it has to happen.
exactly. So I'm more than
It's
happy.
not like William's contract where you have to have a certain amount of appearances.
Yeah.
It's more like if we get a win, you have to come on. You're contractually obliged.
If we can win every week, I'll happily sign a contract saying I have to appear. No problem.
Yeah. So, Anthony, the initial lineup, with thoughts on that? First of all, it's I'm disappointed. I'm going to say I'm disappointed because Bellerin and Xhaka are in there, but obviously we're going to get into it and we're going to understand that the team balance was right because you had balanced those two players who had, pretty good game. One of them had a pretty good game, I'm going to say, and the other had a pretty serviceable game. Mm-hmm. And then you balance that with Saka. Emile Smith-Rowe was the big one for me, and Martinelli, of course, battling throughout the week, but he's durable enough that he's able to start on the left-hand side for us.
Yeah, looking at the lineups initially, I was so torn, like probably the most torn I've been all season with a lineup because I seen the same regulars coming back. I was looking, I was saying, oh, Bellerin is back, Xhaka is back, El Neni, and I was going, oh, here we go again. Then I went further up the team sheet and I was going, oh, okay, Martinelli's fit to play. We've got Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka's in there again. And then it's kind of going, right, Aubameyang on the bench, no Gabriel, but we've no David Luiz, no Willian. My head was spinning. I was all over the place. It was literally one of these, I was going, this could go anyway. It really could. Yeah. This could be the best thing that we've seen all season, or it could be an absolute disaster. But yeah, like that, trying to look at the positives, trying to look at, instead of kind of going, oh, okay, Xhaka's back, Bellerin's back, trying to look at, this is a positive. We've added a couple of young players, and you could see like the complete rejuvenation in the side with those three guys there, like three players who were hungry, really, really wanted to impress, and it was huge for those guys. You've big names out, like the likes of Aubameyang and that on the bench, and the lads really, really did take their chance. Yeah,
exactly, Adam. As I have in the banner down there, Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1. I'd say we're going to get into analysis of the game. And as Gary will know, 25.5% now. We added 4.5% to that. That's 3 points towards top 4. Now, we're going to leave that in. I know it's silly to even talk about top 4, so Gary, don't get on me about that. But we're going to see at the end of the season if we hit 80% of that target or 90% or where we're going to end up. That's why I'm leaving it in. But also, we've accrued that much. But Stage 2 button pushed, and if you've been watching our podcast the last 2 months, we've been wanting Adam, Football with Brownie, and go check him out as well. He's got a YouTube channel as well. Adam, we've been wanting on this channel Arteta to press the button, and the button being bring in some of the good players from the group stages of the Europa League who've been impressive. Emile Smith-Rowe and Martinelli. Obviously, Martinelli, we know what he's like, but he actually got a first league start yesterday.
As a neutral, first of all, I did call it, and if Gary remembers, I did call it on one of the podcasts yesterday that Arsenal would get at least a point after the first 5 minutes. You could tell that the urgency was there.
Yeah.
You could tell that the younger players, Emile Smith-Rowe, as you mentioned, Martinelli, as a neutral, Martinelli excited me before he got injured. And I think every football fan, every British watching football fan, didn't want him to be one of those players who, after a lengthy injury, you kind of don't really see him anymore. So their best wishes. And everyone was hoping that Arteta, out of urgency, wasn't bringing him in too early. And after his performance yesterday, absolutely spot on, and fair play to the youngsters. Those two named definitely, because they took the opportunity with both hands, and also as well as previously mentioned, Bellerin and Xhaka. It's kind of like they took their responsibility of being, older players within the group, within the team. They took their responsibility with both hands as well. Both very mature and responsible performances, and you have to hold your hands up. Sometimes players can be, always be pointed at having bad performances, but when you have performances, mature performances like that, they have to be applauded, no matter what has happened beforehand.
And as Gary will tell you, we want to see that kind of performance. That's the level now that we've set. I want to shout out Rich Sports here. So we'll be doing hopefully a collaboration with Rich Sports, Man United YouTube channel. A little bit of banter going on about Arsenal being relegated, and I dismissed that, Gary. I know it's a little bit of banter from Rich. He wasn't so bad at it, but a couple of other people on his channel. But for good reason, Gary. We flirted with the bottom three, and hopefully this can be a sign of us moving up the table now. We're going to talk about at least the next 4 games coming up for us. We'll get into that a little bit later. But Gary, what do you have to say? Like we've gotten ourselves a little bit away from that danger zone right now.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I've kind of been wanting is not just that we get a win, but we actually see something that's promising, right? I always said it doesn't seem like Arteta's just going to make certain changes to the squad lineup unless he's forced. And luckily for us, he got forced to do it. Yesterday, I guess 2 days ago now. Was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
And
seems like 2 days. Seems like we've been fasting for 2 days.
That's what
the wind will do to you.
Yeah. So I'm happy that he was forced into it. I would like him to kind of see that, before we do. We should be the last ones to know that, it's probably time to make a change to the lineup,
Mm-hmm.
And based on what we saw from Martinelli and what we know that Middlesbrough Road brings to us, and also what we saw in the Europa League, it should have been an easy one. They don't necessarily need to start, but they definitely need to be part of the team and probably, integrated into the squad and get them playing time. So I'm happy to see that they came in. I'm happy to see that we got to see what that means for the squad and the formation and how we play. It was really good to see, and it made, I think they overshadowed the fact that we brought back 2 of the senior members we probably were, kind of dreading to see back on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully others see it more as a Martinelli and Middlesbrough Row than, the senior players playing much better than they have in the past, because I think some of the things that they were able to do yesterday was because I believe, the 3 at the top, Martinelli and Middlesbrough Row and Saka basically were able to kind of play the way they probably have back in the days when they were on, the U23s and U18 teams, playing there. And that's what we saw. A big open game, for us as far as on the attack when we had decided to attack. And we got, they got lucky, we got lucky. And as far as, the score line, it could have been a blowout. It could have been a tight game.
It's so weird, Gary. This could have been a 4 or 5-0, or it could have been 3-2 going into the last couple of minutes here, hanging on by a thread. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think what you alluded to, Gary, is that we found the balance. He found the balance. And, Bellerin and Xhaka were in our FA Cup final lineup. We beat Chelsea with that lineup. But what we also had on that day was Pepe, some risk takers in the team. And I think what Arteta found out yesterday, I hope he's going to burn it into his brain, that he found the right balance between cautious players who are going to be cautious, Elneny, Xhaka, and Bellerin to some extent, and some other players like Emile Smith-Rowe who will bring you quality, but also but not afraid to try things in the final third of the pitch as well. So that balance was there, Gary.
Yeah, and it was good to see. I mean, usually when we open ourselves up, we get hurt on the counter, and I think the threat that we had actually probably tempered any kind of a counterattack that the teams could muster. I don't think they were as open as they felt, especially with the fact that Martinelli would run at that at any time. So I like that. And I think that's, as they say sometimes the best defense is a good offense. And this is you're gonna hear Brownie say this all the time as a neutral, but we know what that means. That doesn't mean neutral. He's got a closet in there.
Yeah, what do you say?
All red. We know it. That's okay, Brownie. You don't have to tell us right now. We'll wait for you to open up and tell us. On your own time when you're ready to join and be part of the group. That's all right.
Cardiff lost yesterday, so
as a
could be
neutral,
sooner rather than later.
as a neutral, probably is equal to giving us a compliment, but then saying "but," and then everything after the word "but" is sort of like not a compliment. Then
I'm getting ready for it, Ray. I'm getting ready for it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me go to Anthony next. Anthony, this game will make a fool of you. This football will make a fool of you. Games are definitely played on the pitch, not on paper. Frank Lampard and Chelsea have spent an awful lot of money assembling that squad. They're going to be under some pressure now. Whereas Arteta seemingly has found the balance now. Like I said, if you could just write the recipe down and keep it somewhere so you can pull it back up on Tuesday morning and be ready to go for it. Arsenal went on the front foot yesterday with Emile Smith-Rowe, Martinelli, and we know where we're getting from Saka. He's almost maturing now to be a very, very consistent footballer on his day in the team. And like I said, stage 2 has been found. The stage 2 button has been found by Arteta. This is the one where you actually activate some of the younger players. So put all that together in a nice parcel for us for Christmas, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm almost starting to think that the footballing gods must be Arsenal fans, because the last couple of weeks, it's like we found ways to take certain players out of the team and force certain players into the team. The likes of suspensions and that, giving other players a shot. Yesterday, the 3 Brazilian guys all come down with COVID or were around someone with COVID. So it's almost as if somebody's looking out for Arteta here and going, I know you're not going to make this choice, but I'm going to force this on you, whether you like it or not. You're getting Smith-Rowe and all these young lads in the team for this game because you need a win. So I'm starting to see it's coming into play a little bit here. But look, yesterday, like you were kind of alluding to there, the balance was just spot on. We've seen in the past with Wenger teams, he was a little bit, over-emphasizing the attack, and we became known for having a bit of a soft defense. Under Arteta, we've sort of become known, up to recently enough, sort of, very defensive, structured. Our attack suffered. Yesterday, you've seen a nice balance of both. We had the young lads come in, brought the energy, chasing every single ball down. And I think, funny enough, the older guys could sort of relax and concentrate more on their game. And it is a funny one, because normally it's the other way around. You'd expect the older guys will be kind of saying, right, I'm gonna have to pick up the pieces here because these kids are still learning. There's a certain maturity about the likes of Smith-Rowe, Martinelli and Saka, where you could almost see, Bellerin and Saboy, or not Saboy, and Lenny and Xhaka, and that they almost kind of said, okay, I can do my thing. I can not overthink, because we know what Xhaka is like when he is forced to overthink. And I think we've seen a much better performance from him, as a result of it. So, look, hopefully the gods keep looking down, and if they have to strike someone down with COVID or an injury or something just to give us these young guys in the team, then I'm all for it.
Of course, that is the big question. I'll go to Adam next with the caveat here from Sam. Willian being sick forced Arteta to try Emile Smith-Rowe for rotation. This is everything we're dreading here, and it makes complete sense from Sam. Leaving Oba on the bench was a good decision he made. Arteta made captain certainly raised my eyebrow a little bit, and I think a lot of people. And he used Xhaka, who is working for a new club. So maybe Xhaka is putting himself in the shop window as well, But Adam, how do you put all of that into context, being a non-Arsenal fan? I think you're mute there, buddy.
Yeah, sorry, man. I was like you, Ray, regarding. I thought, that the captain decision was a bit odd because he's been having trouble taking throw-ins. I thought, how the hell is he going to, toss a coin correctly up in the air to decide who has kickoff or not?
Different skill set.
So, yeah. Arteta now has a big decision on his hands. There's an old saying that says you don't change a winning team.
Yeah.
Whether or not, because he has done it before, when Martinelli had the player of the month or whatever, then he dropped him. And then that was just before he got injured. Now Aubameyang is all of a sudden, fit. Is he going to put him back into the team straight away? And you know what? I hope he doesn't. For Arteta's sake, I hope he doesn't. Because nobody deserves to be dropped for the next game.
No, I definitely agree with that. And it's not 48 hours, it's 3 days, it's 72 hours. That is enough recovery time for me to go back to Brighton with should be the same lineup.
That's correct. And we all seen what Brighton played like today. Very similar, I think. We haven't got anybody up front, really. They're quite weak up front, Brighton.
We are going to talk about how Brighton. Gary's ready. With how Brighton will present a different challenge to us.
But I think with the quicker, younger players up front, you should be able to hit Brighton quite easily on a counter. When you have Aubameyang, he's not the Aubameyang he was 2 years ago, and he would slow any kind of counter down, in my opinion. It's on Arteta's head if he drops anybody from that team,
for sure.
and they don't get all 3 points against Brighton.
Now, it's on us, really. We have to analyze this as panelists. We have to analyze this win as we mean to move forward. We can analyze it as a game in and of itself, Gary, in isolation, but that's not going to do any good to us. Speaking about 3 points in isolation, as I mentioned, going to Brighton, and we'll just touch on this briefly before we preview the game. But Gary, going to Brighton is going to give us a different set of challenges, right? And as Adam said, I don't think we can transition through our midfield very, very quickly for counter-attacking.
No, I mean, we know that's where the issues are, right? Until we get the midfield cleaned up, we're still gonna have those issues. So, I mean, but I think the threat over the top and long passes and whatnot should hopefully open things up for us. That's, I think, the best we can do there. Do we change the lineup? I don't think we should. I mean, I think, if Gabriel was healthy, he would be back in. That'd be an easy one, right? Aubameyang, he should be able to come back in if they change the structure a little bit, because Lacazette did come back and made some certain plays there, and we know that Aubameyang doesn't have a header, so so will he be able to stand up tall in there? I don't think so.
Let's assume, because of protocols, that Gabriel will not be featuring.
He's out for 2 more games, right? At least.
Yep.
So I think, there's no reason to change. So I would like to see it again. Definitely like to see it again. Yep. I mean, the other caveat to that is whether or not Martinelli and Millsworth Rowe can play 2 games. This close to 3 games.
I think you may see a change from Martinelli.
Yeah, because I think we got another scare from him in the last game. I don't want a third, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually they say 3 and you're out. So I think
it was surprising. It was surprising, Gary, for me to see Martinelli after all of the wars that he went through on Tuesday in the cup game, getting injured, coming back out for the second half, which seemed ridiculous to me, and having that injury to his foot as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I can see a worst case scenario. I guess if you want to call it worst case, is that he doesn't play, but he's on the bench, and so they don't have to give him the whole 90 minutes if it's required, and let him come in and kind of do what he's done in the past. I mean, if it's required and he's on the bench, it should be easy to bring him in for the second half. We saw Chelsea do that. I don't think I've really seen it happen much with Arteta doing that strategically, as opposed to having to do it because he has no choice. So these are hopefully things he's learning as he goes along, that you can't make these changes
let me
at halftime,
ask
right?
you let me ask you a quick question, Gary, in relation to Brighton. We switch out Martinelli for Aubameyang on the left. Does that change the way the team works,
Oh yeah, definitely.
even having Emile Smith-Rowe in there?
Well, it will change. I think it will slow things down for us for sure. I mean, I don't think Aubameyang's not going to make his. He hasn't shown it, right? He hasn't shown the pressing that he's done in the past.
Yep.
And Martinelli definitely does that. He puts pressure on that back line a lot more than we've seen from Aubameyang this year. So whether Emile Smith-Rowe opens that up for him, we'll have to see. But it shouldn't. We should hope to have him back in form somehow, and hopefully Emile Smith-Rowe is the answer for that. A lot of people put Emile Smith-Rowe as their top player, and that's why things look totally different for us. So we'll see that hope.
Me amongst them. We'll get into Brighton in a little bit. Let's review the game. What happened, Anthony? We start off quite brightly after first 5 or 6, 7 minutes. Quite brightly, Martinelli has a shot in the first minute. It comes to him too early. Chelsea kind of take over for the next 15 minutes. What was noticeable, like we did mention, Emile Smith-Rowe in the 7th minute, he goes to ground in midfield to win the ball back, and this was sort of emblematic of what we were going to do on the day. We basically outworked Chelsea. Now, another thing to ask you, Anthony, is that did Chelsea come with the right mindset? Is it a little bit us wanting to win game, but Chelsea were not ready, and Lampard was quite critical of his team afterwards?
Yeah, it kind of felt as though Chelsea sort of showed up thinking it's probably going to be a handy night. Like I was surprised he didn't go with Giroud, because I thought this would be a game for him and he was going to cause absolute havoc. So maybe with the inclusion of Timo Werner, we've seen in the past, we've seen it with Man City, they like to throw in a guy who is looking for a goal. You stick him in against Arsenal, he's probably going to get one and then get the confidence back up. So maybe that was Lampard's thinking on Timo Werner. But yeah, like I said, even watching some of the fans beforehand, I think everyone was expecting this was going to be a pretty easy 3 points. I don't know why, but for some reason I was strangely confident about us going into this one. I sort of thought that
it's called law of averages, Anthony. It's called law of averages.
I kind of thought there was kind of so much confidence coming from one side, but we were the side that really, really needed it. And like that, with the inclusion of the young guys in there, I think they were kind of going, hang on here a second, don't write us off just yet. And they were up for this game. They were fired up. And maybe we caught Chelsea at a good time, because we've been doing so badly that they probably took this game for granted and probably said, look, we just show up here, play it about a little bit, we'll get a result here. But like our lads were brilliant, absolutely brilliant on the night. So everybody was raring to go. And I think last night we saw the difference in players who want to play for Arteta as opposed to who he felt should be playing.
Yeah.
You see last night, those guys on the pitch, every single one of them were playing for the club, playing for Arteta, not like the likes of Willian and David Luiz and whatever, who should be in this team anyway, in the top earners, whatever. Those guys last night were out to prove, like, I should be in this team.
Yeah, and maybe a clue as to who the bad apples may be in that dressing room. Adam, what do you think? And
yeah, absolutely. What I was really impressed as a neutral I could see a guy laughing there as a neutral.
There he goes again.
I was really impressed with that third. I was really impressed with that third goal, not just because of the finish, but how it started from back to front.
Yeah.
Chelsea pressed quite high on that third goal, but Leno was confident enough in his defenders to throw the ball out. They the defenders passed amongst themselves to attract the Chelsea strikers to come out of position and press even higher, which made then space behind them. And that's when the move really started. And the finish was quite, it was really done, really worked well. And I tell you, that third goal, in my opinion, will be, have to be in a top 5. Come the end of the season of the goals, will be in the top 5.
Yeah, we actually
best goals this season. I'm sure of it.
We got back to the ways as we've been playing earlier in the season. Now we'll take a poll a little bit later. There's 4 of us here as to who thought he actually meant it. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. A goal is a goal. It still counts.
Yeah, no, but it was a very worked team goal. And you were talking. It was done by players who, Mari, who haven't had a lot of game time. For them to have the confidence in playing like that, it was quite risky at first. When they were playing at the defense, it was quite risky for them to have a confidence like that and to get that kind of ending off that move. I thought it was really, really well worked and fair play. And I know Sam is in the comments now. So there you go, Sam. I'm finally giving Arsenal credit. Because he always claims I don't give Arsenal credit, but we definitely deserve credit.
You have. On the day we beat Chelsea 3-1, you kind of have to give us a little bit of credit.
I'm going to call this right now. And I did say halfway through the game yesterday, in my opinion, Lampard will be sacked sooner than Arteta.
Yeah, let's have you as
I'm going to call that.
As the non-Arsenal, is that what he said, Gary? As the neutral. As a neutral, I'm going to let you go in on Chelsea a little bit. And Anthony had said, they've come in on a little bit of a bad run. They've only beaten West Ham out of the last 4 games now. This was an opportunity to, finally put one over us on us again.
I think they're just a team. Remember years ago in the early zeros or early noughties, we'll say, and
here we go.
No, I'm just on about like Galacticos. Real Madrid used to be known as the Galacticos, which I know exactly. The moment I was going into this, I thought, I've opened myself up now.
And that's an old comment. I'm going back to an old comment there.
I know.
But Sam, I'm not paying you for that bet. I'm sorry. I'm not paying you. I thought it was a joke.
If you remember, Real Madrid used to have a lot of good individual players who could never play as a team.
Galacticos.
Yeah. And that, to me, that's exactly what Chelsea are like. Tino Werner, I've always been one for giving people from overseas at least a year to settle in. I have, because I've seen it myself. It's not just a player settling in; it's a family settling in. A kid's going to a new school, and so forth. All that does affect the player's mindset. So I'm quite happy to give Werner a year, Havertz a year, but the pressure has to be mounting already on them both, because the amount of money in which Chelsea have spent on them. And, there's already nicknames called, try saying this with a lisp now, there's already nicknames like Shy Havertz, and that can't be good for a mindset and a confidence of players. And I can see Lampard being replaced in the summer.
He's under a lot of pressure now. He's supposed to be getting results, and we're in a different boat right now. as you said, Timo Werner, no goals in 9 games now. I felt sure, Gary, we would gift him a goal yesterday.
Yeah,
Didn't
I mean,
happen.
when I looked at their lineup, the 3 players that I had kind of highlighted, thinking that they might do something against us because of our form and because we like to give. We like to give presents every game. You know, we haven't lost a game on Boxing Day. Chelsea. Pulisic didn't get to finish off the last game he played against us. Werner hasn't scored in forever. Play Arsenal and maybe your dreams come true, and it didn't happen. I figured Pulisic after the last time we played, and he almost had a chance to tie that game up before he pulled his hamstring. Would come back and be able to put his name on the game somehow, and he wasn't able to do that. I think as a team, we were able to kind of slow them down as far as what they wanted to do, and for once I felt like they had to kind of think about what we're doing. Not to sit back and wait for us to make mistakes, because I think if they that wasn't going to happen. I think we had the game plan for us was a lot better. So they did surprise us. The fact that Giroud never did come into the game, which I thought was interesting. He was lined up. He was warming up, and it was like, okay, now they're going to bring him in, and then they couldn't. They switched him and sent him back to the bench. I don't. Is that a young coach making a mistake, not knowing that what, if you looked at the past games Arsenal had played against past former Arsenal players, that they usually kind of show up, right?
The list is growing. Yeah,
I mean, like the last 4 games we played a former Arsenal player, and they all did something positive in the game, right? And
I actually thought Gary did. Timo Werner, and I thought the players that he played would be more damaging to us, but it didn't happen that way. And who knows now with Drew what would have happened. Deassembled. If you put a comment up there, I will try and get to everyone's comments, and sometimes it gets a little bit heavy. I don't always get to all of the comments, but I will try. If you keep your comment up there, you've got a good shot of it being shown. But also, I read that a lot of the players are lobbying to get Ozil back in the team. Yeah, I agree with that, Rich. Okay, so Anthony, let's get into the first goal then. So Arsenal set the tone. Chelsea came back a little bit, and then something amazing happened. Xhaka pulls a great pass. Bellerin is involved on the right hand side. Pulls a great pass out inside Timo Werner to Tierney, and Tierney, who I've been critical of, is delivery into the box. He doesn't deliver the ball. He actually skips past James. Take it from there.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. Initial thoughts, I said, penalty all day. Haven't seen replays. If it was against us, I would have been pretty annoyed, put it that way.
Well, we've had a lot against us, good and bad. So I was going to take that slice of luck all day long, right?
Hey, but look, the last couple of weeks, we've been bad. We have been bad. But at the same time, there has been a couple of times where luck has been against us. Maybe you could say like the likes of the Aubameyang own goal and stuff like that. It seems to be sometimes when you're down, you just keep getting these little bumps, to keep you down. And last night, it just went in our favour. With a couple of nice decisions went in our favour. And look, other teams have been getting them against us, so I'm not going to feel too guilty about us getting one. But yeah, like I said, if it had been the opposite way, I would have been pretty annoyed that it was given against us. But look, we'll take the bit of luck when we can finally get it, so I'm not going to complain.
Absolutely.
The fact that Xhaka, Bellerin all kind of had a part in that, that it's good and bad, right? Because what did Arteta see? Did he think that's going to happen all the time, or we just got lucky this time? Because that's a fear that I have, is that any positive that comes out of this game will come back to haunt us later when we're like, why?
The fear is well founded, Gary, because when you ask Arteta later about the performance, he doesn't single the young players out, especially. He has a lot of mentions for all of the players. And if this result was because of the young players, he wants to include the experienced players in there, which tells me he's giving deference towards Bellerin and Xhaka in that press conference.
And that's scary, isn't it? That's scary. That is
Yeah.
scary because when we have a fully healthy team, where are those players going to be? Are they going to be on the field? Are they going to be in the bench? That's the scary part. We don't know.
The scary part as well is what I think Lumberg Camp had said earlier. Arteta will drop Emile Smith-Rowe for Willian in due course.
Yeah.
We know that that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
That's a scary.
Yeah. But I tell you what the scary part could be, and that would be up to the individual youngster to change their game slightly. Let's there's no doubt about it. The teams who Arsenal got coming up now will be studying these youngsters to the most minute little degree of their game. Studying old footage, how they play, especially Martinelli, because there's been a sizable gap since his last, since he entered the stage. So it wouldn't surprise me if any of the youngsters do have below than average games coming up, because the teams they play against may well have.
That's your butt. You just did the butt. You know that.
Oh
right?
yeah, no,
You just did the butt.
I know. But yeah. No, but it's kind of like a little bit of realism with these youngsters is that teams are going to try and find them out now, because they know that Arteta, whether he was pushed into it or not, is willing to make different decisions on a starting lineup. So they have to look at all different options of what kind of Arsenal team they're going to be facing.
Yeah, the one thing that I'll say to that is I'll take a bad Tierney over our bad left back. Okay.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
So if I'm going to get a bad Martinelli, I'm fine with that because I know it's better than what we have. A bad Smith-Rowe, it's better than what we have right now.
It's a Smith-Rowe. Rowe. I'm really thinking of, because I'm thinking, okay, well, if teams come up against and they put and they man mark him, you make sure you're on Smith-Rowe all game. I don't even care if you don't touch the ball. Then how is Smith-Rowe going to adapt and change his play?
Maybe
that's the type of thing I'm thinking of.
Yeah, maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe they sit on Emile Smith-Rowe, but then frees up Bukayo-Saka or another player.
Maybe.
If
but
we have enough
youngsters to adapt their game, if
we have enough game changers in the squad, in the team at the time, it will be enough for us to do something. December said, "Look here, Sam and Alex. Arsenal make bad decisions. At least I'm allowing you to correct me in terms of retracting the statements." So there's a method to the madness as well. And Cannon Fodder TV, Alex, thanks for joining us. December for manager, I would vote for that. Yeah, why not? Let's see what Arteta does in the next few weeks. I have been giving him till the end of January. I was hanging on by a thread, Gary.
Yeah, you're gonna give him to the rest of the season already?
Huh?
Are you gonna give him to the rest of the season now because of this one win?
No. I want to see. I definitely want to see what happens on Tuesday. This cannot be the beginning of something. I did tweet out we wanted 3 points from these two games. Didn't think we would get them yesterday. Left latitude for Brighton, but you can't beat Chelsea. Yeah, yesterday you can't beat Chelsea and not hope to get something out of Tuesday if you want to move forward, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, if we play consistently, we should be fine, and hopefully they get. As I always say, if we can get a little bit better, maybe El Neni's shot goes a little bit lower, it goes in. Lots of different things happen. In that last 5 minutes where we could have got the 3 goals we needed to pull away from this. So
yeah, we'll definitely get into that. Anthony, coming up to halftime, and this has been a tradition of Arsenal to concede a goal coming up to halftime. The last 5 to 10 minutes, Arsenal are notorious for doing that, but we actually got a goal. I thought it was through some fortune. not in the way that we earned the free kick. Saka drives inside, and Conte has to take him down. But the fortune being that take the free kick really quickly. Saka should have really got the shot away, but he hesitates. The ball comes back. Before I know it, Granit Xhaka's put the ball down, and it's in the back of the net. Happy days, 2-0.
I think the most fortunate thing about the free kick was the fact that David Luiz wasn't on the pitch, standing there ready to put it over the bar.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
That was about the best. No, but in all honesty, no, Granit Xhaka, look, never doubt him for a second. We've seen it from him before. I think it was at Crystal Palace. I think he scored a screamer free kick a couple of seasons ago. Yep. I wasn't expecting him to take it. I completely caught off guard. I completely drenched myself with the drink I had in my hand at the time. I was so surprised. But yeah, look, now Xhaka, like I said, I've been harsh on him in the past, but credit where it's due. I think he was getting a lot of stick because he didn't come out and make an apology about the sending off in the last game. But I would rather speak with your actions. It gets a bit old hearing the same apologies. Well,
we haven't heard an apology from him.
Oh yeah, but when we lose a game, you have the same players, Instagram posts, tweets, whatever. Like, sorry, we let the fans down. We'll get it right next week. Do you know what I mean? Like, just stop talking and just do what he did. Basically, he showed up last night. I think last night gave me a slightly different view on Xhaka. Like I said, I've been harsh on him in the past. I'll be quick to point out the flaws and what he does wrong. I think last night, like I said, I felt like he was afforded a bit more freedom to concentrate on his own game rather than maybe pick up the pieces of other people's games. And I think we've seen the benefit from him. I definitely think we've seen a more solid Xhaka. He still had, the little errors in him, but that is just him. He's going to be a slightly flawed player at best for us. But definitely, I think almost the less responsibility I think he has, maybe the better the performance we're probably going to get from him. But the free kick, unbelievable. What can you say? Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, the best. Sorry about that. The best part of that. Yeah, the best part of that was the commentator. Basically before, right after he made the shot, made the free kick, he's like, villain. What does he say? He said, villain 1 minute, hero the next. That's what we get, Huh?
Right before or right after?
Right after he's made it, because he's like, he's pretty much, he has his ups and downs. We've just been getting a lot of downs.
And the truth about players, like you score a hat-trick this week, you're the best in the world, and you get sent off next week, and suddenly get him out of the team. Fans can be quite fickle like that. So it is true to say that you're only as good as your most recent performance. So I'd say there'll be people calling for him. The people that were probably calling for him to never wear the shirt again, will probably be saying he should be in the team next week and he should be on free kicks. It is crazy how opinions can change in an instant.
Yeah, this is the thing we have to guard against here, the assemble saying, and Arteta's got to build on this, and he's got to show that he's going to learn. Everything we've seen in the last 2 months, we've been calling for this throughout the Europa League. Those same players that performed in the Europa League, Emile Smith-Rowe and especially Martinelli, didn't have the opportunity, but we know his level is Europa League and beyond. Emile Smith-Rowe was able to translate that to the Premier League, Gary.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to see if it would work, and it has shown that it does work. At least, allowing them to see how, and I think also playing these players in their right positions is another key, right? I think that's why a lot of the players looked a little bit better than they have in the past, is because they weren't asked to do too much or they were out of position. So it worked in their favor. And that's kind of some of the stuff we wanted to see, right? You ask certain players to do too much, they never perform well. Now you take away some of those responsibilities. Similarly, if you remember, like when Xhaka was captain, at least I was saying to myself, he can't be a captain and actually perform, because he wasn't performing at that point. His performances were going down as he had to take on more roles. And I think the less we give some of our senior players, the better off they're going to be, because that's what we're seeing. We're asking.
Do you think Gary? In particular nowadays, I think the captaincy can be overstated. I don't think it's as big a deal as it used to be back in the day. But do you think Bellerin, his game elevated a little bit because of the captaincy role? Tough question.
Yeah, it's a tough question, because if he was to leave tomorrow, I wouldn't be too upset. But did it help? I don't know. I'm going to say it didn't help, because I feel like Martinelli and Emile Smith-Rowe helped a lot more than than players all of a sudden now performing a lot better than they have in the past. I think that they opened up, the game a little bit more and made things a little bit more easy for everybody else. And then your Saka looked even much better. Tierney looked better. I mean, everything looked better, I think, when you had the right players out there playing in the right spots. And that was, so I think, so I don't think it's the armband that made a difference. I don't know if he's our captain. I don't think he's our captain, right? I think that hopefully will change next season, if not this season, depending on how that goes. I did see a lot of, that was, and we're talking about the captain. So if I go back to that, one of the things that I do remember seeing, I think it was in the game. Was it the game yesterday or in one of the past games? And it's when one of our players gets injured or gets knocked down or something like that.
Yeah. Look
at the camera. There's no other red jerseys in the camera, and the player is just sitting on the ground. And that's something that's where the captain should be running in, or at least the teammates should be running in. I
noticed.
Yeah,
I did notice Bellerin getting involved with Tammy Abraham, I think it was.
Yeah. So we need more. We need more of that, and that's kind of shows you if we're moving closer and closer to a team as opposed to 11 individuals out there. But
that is a big indicator that what we say, Gary, is we want the team to act as one body, one entity, and they all breathe and work in the same way. And whenever there's an issue on the field, I want 9 more players there around, not in a fracas, but I want them to know we're not going to get pushed around anymore, because Arsenal have had that softer underbelly moniker for too long.
Yeah. And I was going to say, as Embo was asking the question, would you say the difference was energy? And I don't think the energy. I think the energy came because, for me, anyways, I felt like that Martinelli brought that energy to the team that we hadn't seen in a while, right? Even without Emile Smith-Rowe, he brought energy to the field, chasing down balls, making, showing up Lacazette when he's running past him to go get a long ball, those types of things in the pass game. If you're looking at that as a senior player, you're like, wait a second, I got to bring a little bit more to the table today, because, Martinelli's coming in, Emile Smith-Rowe's coming in, things are going to be a little bit different. And so that's where I think the energy came from. I think it's certain players bring that out of their teammates, and he didn't tell them what to do. He just basically showed them what he wants to do, and that was, that's what we've been looking for, right? We know those young legs can go out there and bring something different to the game, and that's what we saw, and that's what we hope to see. So, looking to see.
A couple other things for you, Gary. I want to ask you, at halftime, is Granit Xhaka toward the top of your list for man of the match at halftime?
I guess I don't want to say that, but he didn't do anything not to. And but like I said, I felt like he did showcase himself. But if Martinelli put some balls in, you may even say Martinelli was the guy, right? He missed got a couple of that one corner, I think, that came to him a little too fast, and he couldn't get his foot out in time. But I feel like I don't know. I guess maybe because I don't like him, as much. I'd like to give him the credit, I guess. Is that bad of me? I don't know. But
for me, this the one game in the season where he's going to score very, very highly at halftime. And we're going to talk about man of the match after 95 minutes here.
That's a good question at halftime, because I wouldn't have thought of it that way, because I looked at the whole game.
A goal and assist after 45 minutes, you got to put him up there and high in the scoring charts in terms of man of the match. The other thing that cannot go unstated is Tony has told me that I have like a love affair with Pablo Mari, and it's been kind of a joke on this channel, but I do rate Pablo Mari very highly. and for him to come in and play very well, and actually put, you're looking for moments in the game, and that tackle on Kovacic after 16 minutes, he gets a yellow card, but he kind of sets the tone for the game as well. So I'm going to give Pablo Mari. Those are the type of, you can. It's two ways to go, right? You get another yellow, you're a villain. But you get a yellow card, you set a marker down, you win the game, you're a hero, right, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at that, I didn't necessarily think he had to do that. I think he could have got there. He could have made a better. I was happy to. I guess I wasn't really happy. I actually thought
Xhaka let him go.
I didn't think it was
Xhaka let
necessary.
him go.
I thought he could have saved that one for later. I didn't think they were threatening us that much. That he needed to come in that strong. But he did play. He played with that yellow, and we didn't even notice, right? That he was holding back anything. Pulling back on any of the play he was doing. So he, another one of these players that can he go 90? Probably not right now. I think we saw the breakdown, and maybe he's one of the guys that probably should have come off early as well, because he's just not. This was a big game, right? We talk about the energy. I think everybody put in over 100% of what they had in their tank. Him being one of them, and maybe that's the reason why they kind of got the penalty kick at the towards the end of the game. So, but I think that's what we wanted. We wanted these players to come in there and play, and he's one of them that's going to help us. Maybe that partnership with Gabriel in a couple of games, in a week or so from now, we'll see if that works out.
Yeah, and for me, and Tony will know this, he's a good second choice defender for me. Stefan, we totally do joke around on this channel, and that's what I hope we have to set ourselves apart a little bit, set our own tone in here. And so, Anthony, as my wife has said here, it looks like Arteta has found the right mix of players. Great to see Emil Smith-Rowe in the lineup.
Yeah, and the news, the news, just before you go any further, the news keeps getting better. Looks like, the team in the north, in North London as well is just dropping points right now. So
I was going to tell you earlier, Gary, that this would have been my we're not doing it this week. This would have been my upset pick. Honestly, I was going to say that.
It's 1-1 with what is it? 2.5 minutes left in extra time. So they were up pretty much for most of the game. So that's another plus for us if we want to enjoy this set of games.
And Wolverhampton Wanderers are going to struggle a little bit this season because they've added some young players that they're trying to develop, but they're still a decent outfit at home. Anthony, 2-0 at halftime. What are you thinking at halftime?
I was thinking,
don't mess it up.
Am I watching Arsenal for real? Like, am I watching the wrong game? No, honestly, like I said, I was quietly confident coming into this game, but I wouldn't have been expecting us to be 2 goals clear at halftime. But like I said, like the energy was there. You could see the fight was there. There's a lot of things that were evident that clearly were missing the past couple of weeks, and you could see that like the players were kind of more relaxed in themselves, playing with that bit of confidence. Like watching us in the first half, you would have thought we were kind of a form team coming into this game, and maybe it's the opposite way around. We were coming into, I know Chelsea aren't on a great run, but you would have thought they were the side in our position, and we were coming in, and they were kind of just going through the motions, kind of going, right, well, we see how long we hold out before they finish us off. So it was unbelievable. Like honestly, I was sitting there and I was checking my cup and I was going, what have I put in this? Because what am I watching here? Like, what am I drinking? This isn't Arsenal. This was the Arsenal of old. It was nice. It was a very, very welcome change. Very, very welcome.
Anthony, what's on the cards for Mustafi? You think he's going to leave in January? Hopefully.
I messaged him there last week, just say if he needs a hand packing his bags, I can come over, no problem. Give him a hand. He needs a
are you going to take him anywhere? Because Mahir has already volunteered to drive. You could take
well, look, if he wants
4
to go,
hours on, 4 hours off.
Yeah, look, we can do shifts, no problem. Like I'll
sort something out.
Yeah, that's it. No, like Yeah, Mustafi. I don't know whether it's just a bit of bravado from his agent talking about Barcelona and that maybe to try entice a couple of offers. There might be nothing on the table. Maybe he's trying to
It
entice.
might be his best opportunity. Barcelona's no great shakes right now. It might be his best opportunity to play with that famed football institution and
Yeah,
say
look,
he was a Barcelona player.
if you're a player in Mustafi's situation, yeah, 100%.
What do you think, Gary? World Cup winner. He's been on Arsenal many years. We should fetch a hefty price.
You know what? You know what? This time, we won't take any. We don't need the money. We're okay.
We don't need to recoup 35 million. It's okay.
Yeah, I think at this time it's okay to let him go for free.
We'll write it off.
It'll be, yeah, no problem. We'll make it easy on them.
The savings that you would make on his way, he must be on what 80 to 100 grand a week.
Yeah.
Thereabouts. The savings alone you'd make over the next 6 months, it's almost like a minimal fee in itself. You know, you'd be more than happy, especially if we freed up a spot for. And I don't know whether Saliba is going to get a look in, but we're supposed to have signed a defender from Schalke, Rekic or something. So
from Hertha Berlin. Yeah.
Sorry.
Omar.
Yeah, so maybe he's in contention for first team. I'm not sure what the plan is.
Yeah, the plan for him. He's going to go into the under 23s and be developed. So it's one for the future. And Arteta's laying down the blocks. The club is laying down the blocks. I hope he is there long enough to reap the benefits of it. Adam, 2-0 halftime. What are you expecting from Chelsea in the second half? You're mute. You're not mute anymore. You're gone. Adam shall be now Gary. Gary,
right.
I've ordained you, Adam, Gary.
Well, yeah, 2-0. I'm thinking we need to think of this game as 0-0 at halftime. We need to come in and continue to do what we were doing before. And my thought was before Martinelli and Mills-Raphael were going to have to get pulled. You know, I figured they would give them 15, 20 minutes to see what they can do. And then we would have to start looking towards the bench.
Apologies, Ray.
Yeah, no problem, Adam. Gary was Adam for a couple of seconds there.
Okay. Well, personally, I thought Chelsea were going to really come out of the blocks.
Yeah.
And I did think that Arsenal may concede quite early on, which would have made for a real good second half. But Arsenal stood their ground, and although I've had my doubts about him, I think a special mention has to go out to Leno. I think he had a he's under pressure because the fan base didn't like the way that Arsenal got rid of Martinez. And he stood up to the plate yesterday and that penalty save as well.
Yep.
You know, I think I don't know why it is, but it comes across to me that maybe it is because of the apparent infighting within the changing room, but it did come across to me that certain amount of older players within the team really stood, made a step up yesterday, and it could that be because the apparent infighting, the people involved in apparent infighting wasn't in the squad? I'm not too sure, but something positive really happened with the older players yesterday, and long may that continue for Arsenal.
Yeah, and like you said, it's the younger players as well. And you're talking about wages. We're talking about Mustafi. You start playing the younger players, you can alleviate a lot of wages from the bill.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've always said give Arteta until the summer. Because the club has always been crying out that it's a long-term project. Well, in my opinion, it would be unfair on Arteta if you offer him a manager contract, but on condition that it is a long-term contract, a long-term project, until the wages get freed up in the summer. I do think it would be unfair to get rid of Arteta before the summer. I know results didn't go
but he has to keep his neck above water. And
Yeah, that's right.
the water line
He
right
hasn't
now
been
is
helping
15th or
himself.
16th place. It's a low bar, right?
I'm I got the water over my mouth right now.
No, he
because of
hasn't
that.
been helping himself. I would even admit that he hasn't been
Yeah.
helping himself. But
Yeah.
but yesterday's forced team selection, I think, could have shown him the light.
We can only
but
hope so. We can only hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I just wondered, did Mesut Ozil tweet anything in congratulations of the team yesterday? Just wondering that. No.
Anthony's got the info, I think, on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I did see him tweeting at one point. He definitely put something up. I'm actually going to see. Can I find it here?
Yeah, have a look. I'll go to Gary. Gary,
I
so
wanted
we
to say
did-
one thing because you did, Adam did mention a player that me and you have kind of gone back and forth on it a little bit in Leno, because I've said, you know what, I know Leno was not at fault for any of the goals that went in many of the past games, but I wanted him to make that play, right? I wanted him to make that play, not just the regular plays that he always makes, but that play that you were like, yes, that's the play that we want from our, a goalkeeper, from our defender, from our striker, midfielder, whatever it is, that you go, that put a statement on the game. And he did that. He did that yesterday,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with him. He wasn't the one that was at fault, but he's the one that actually stood up and corrected somebody else's wrong, right?
Yeah. I mean, as a shortstop, I got no issues with Leno.
Yeah.
It's the commanding of a box and coming for crosses. That is where he's always had the question marks on him, and I think he's starting to make a step up now, because the pressure from the fan base regarding the Martinez sell is there for all to see.
In the cold light of day, we're going to see at the end of the season. I think it's fair to do that at the end of the season, to analyze Leno, Martinez, and what happened there. There's lots of things to unpack there, and it could take a whole podcast in of itself. Probably at the end of the season is a good time to get into that and be fair about it. Anthony, you got some information on Ozil and what he tweeted?
Yeah. He put up, really happy for all our youngsters today, playing with pride and no fear. Crucial 3 points, and then he did his usual hashtag, yeah, Gunners, yeah.
Yeah, Gunners, yeah. Yeah, no, so listen, if he's a cheerleader till the end of the season, it's something you have to keep.
Expensive cheerleader.
You have to keep. Yeah, it is. It is what it is, as they say. And hopefully by summertime, a lot of leeway is going to be opened up, and it's going to help the club. Gary, let's get to that third goal. It seems that we've gone an hour here, and we haven't talked about Saka, but a little bit. And if you're going to rival Xhaka in the scoring for a man in a match, you got to bring Bukayo Saka into the reckoning here, in terms of what he did the whole game, and that goal.
Yeah, I mean, I liked everything that went out, what happened after that. But yeah, I mean, that was, I was like, that's a weird pass when I first saw it. I was like, that doesn't even look right.
Another terrible cross.
Because
That's a cross.
yeah, I was like, that does what? Because just something about it didn't look right. I mean, you look at it in slow motion, and you're like, wow, if that was a pass, that was really bad, because it was nowhere close to, that needed to be in like 6 feet shorter from where it was. There's no way anybody was going to get at the end of that.
You know what it was, Gary? So Stan has said we put more crosses in than the Vatican has. This was a cross from the Vatican.
And they pushed it down. The hands of God put their hands on the ball and curved it into the goal. Because that was going high, I think.
The Pope himself blessed that one.
Yeah,
so, that went right in, off the bar and everything.
Yeah, and then I saw there's those tweets afterwards of Mendy talking about, you didn't mean to do that, and and he's going, yeah, I did. And supposedly if you look at it in slow motion, you can actually see him kind of look up and see the goalie off his line when he makes the attempt, and it just happened to work out. I'm gonna agree with Saliba on this one, because he knows what he's doing out there. And he has been one of our threatening players out there in terms of opportunities, and he actually was able to get the goal. So that was actually good to see. Didn't come out of the place, the way we expected it to, but he got a goal.
Yeah, you're going to go with Saka on this one?
I'm going with Saka, yeah.
Listen, Tammy Abraham, or whoever it was, right? Tammy Abraham was asking him, did you mean that?
Oh, I thought it was Mendy, but yeah, it could have been Tammy. I can't remember which one.
Tammy Abraham. I want to ask Tammy Abraham, did you mean that performance? Did you mean putting in 95 minutes of that standard as a Chelsea player? You don't need to worry about Arsenal and what they did. You worry about your own performance, and you didn't put it on the field. You've got to answer to Frank Lampard when you get back to the dressing room. And don't worry about our game. You worry about your own game, Tammy Abraham, and you didn't turn up. Your team didn't turn up, and you didn't get 3 points. We did. And if Saka hadn't scored, we still would have beaten you 2-1. So take it. Take your L, right, Anthony?
That's 100%. You tell him.
That's my mini rant for the day. And I shouldn't be ranting when we win 3-1, right?
Well, that's the thing. I'm happy with the win, but we know this is a marathon, and we went just 1 mile today. We got a long way to go, because this is a good step in the right direction for sure. So I'm gonna, I'm happy for the win, but I just, like anything else, I guess based on form, we could just turn around and do what we did the last time we got a win against one of the big six, right? So, and what is another scary thing that's going to happen, right? Both Brighton and West Brom. What have they done in the last? They did this week, right? They both got points in the last game, and that's why we have to continue. Continue our form has to continue to improve, because they're not getting worse, right? They're a lot of the teams that we're going to be battling with are getting better. Yeah, so we got to get, and if we get better with play and players getting more time and whatnot, I want to see that. So based on what we did this weekend, it should if we can put in the same amount of work, we hopefully should get the same results. Maybe some of those balls will go in where they didn't yesterday.
So Adam, as I mentioned to Anthony and Gary here, Tammy Abraham, if I'm Frank Lampard and I see that, actually, I'm a little bit irritated, because I'm going to go on, I'm Frank Lampard, I'll go on that mini rant. You shouldn't be worrying about what Arsenal do. You worry about what you're doing, Tammy Abraham. Don't go asking Saka if he meant it or not. What you put out on the field, did you mean that? That's what I'm asking Tammy Abraham on Monday morning, the next time he comes into training, You're mute again. Just unmute yourself every time you talk.
I got to, because I got my Thai food has arrived, don't I?
And
so
it's so hot it mutes your mic.
So it's not the first time Tammy Abraham has acted like this after a game, and that's why he has annoyed Lampard and Chelsea fans in the past before. I don't know. Something's not right at Chelsea. It hasn't been all season.
Yeah.
And Chelsea being Chelsea, I can see them changing a manager soon, because unfortunately, in the modern game, the players seem to be more valued than a manager by the owners of a club, because they're assets. And it won't be long until the players start throwing Lampard and in front of a bus. Sorry.
Yeah. We can only hope so. Charlie Hart, thanks. Evening, lads. Hope we're all well. We're doing well. We're still glowing. For another 5 or 6 minutes, we're going to be talking about this win, and then we're going to be not glowing, because we're going to be talking about what happens next. Right, Gary?
Yes.
Gary, get the 75 minutes. The substitutes happen. Emile Smith-Rowe comes off. You can look at it 2 different ways, right, Gary? Emile Smith-Rowe comes off. You're not rewarding the young players who have played well, or you're saving the young players. You're taking them off. How do you see it?
No, I never thought they could do 90 minutes, and this is probably one of the toughest games they were going to play in this run of games that we have. So I figured, what? I wasn't expecting them to be able to play 90 minutes. I thought they would, I figured they would have to come out at some point, so I wasn't surprised by it. I think it needed to happen. I mean, and the issue though is that we saw what happened when we did that. Right, everything seemed to go back to where it was before, where the other team was attacking us
Yeah.
and getting what they
You're,
wanted out of the game.
you're either these changes make you be more defensive. You know, substitutions by their nature make you be more defensive by who's coming on, or Chelsea have sort of our level's not the same, and Chelsea are pushing.
Yeah, I mean, but you bring in Willock and Pepe, and you figure, you know what, you've got what, 25, 15 minutes to, or 25, 30 minutes almost to finish the game off.
Mhm.
And I think, we saw there was a big dip in the performance of the team when that happened. So definitely what he's asking of his players can't be done by everybody just yet. I mean, I think a lot of people are disappointed in when Pepe came on that he didn't provide any kind of threat on the attacking side, and he had an opportunity to do that. So, I think a lot, of from what I saw, it seems like a lot of people are okay with Pepe maybe having to move on because he's not going to offer us what we need we need
It was
him.
a difficult situation for him to come in. I do believe Chelsea were pushing, and he's more or less defending at that point in time.
Yeah.
We could have gone 4-0 up with El Neni, a cracking shot from about 15 yards out.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, yes, that was one, but then the most, but Lacazette, right? Lacazette, right?
Yeah.
That has to go in the goal. I mean, how many times is he going to be one-on-one with the goalie who's off his line? I mean, that's probably what you live for as a striker, right? He makes a mistake, you make him pay, and he couldn't do it. I mean, did the goalie make a good play, or did Lacazette not just, wasn't, he's got to make those at some point. He's going to make those, right? Hopefully, before he goes,
That's the difference between if you're having a great season, a 15-goal striker or a 20-goal striker. Those situations. We saw it against Liverpool earlier in the season. He's clean through. He doesn't finish. And this is Lacazette. You'll get a certain amount of level of commitment, a certain amount of quality, but not top drawer.
Yeah, I looked at some of the past Chelsea games just to kind of get a feel of how we've played in the past, and it looked no different from Lacazette. He's had opportunities to score in them, and he's never been able to put it in the back of the net. So we did that. He's par for the course, as they say. He's not good or bad. He just that's what he does. He doesn't make the shot when he's had opportunities. So yeah, I mean, that's why. And then so if you put Aubameyang in those same situations, will he put the ball through the net? We expect him to, right? So if he gets, we'll see if that makes a difference, if that happens, if that change occurs. Him on the bench should mean that he's going to play the next game, right? If we weren't up 3-0 when those substitutions started, would he have come on? I mean, I would hope so, right? So
Yep. Anthony, we had chances. I said to Gary, could have been 4-0 with El Neni, and before that, it could have been 4-0 with Lacazette one-on-one with the goalkeeper. I'm sorry, I muted you.
It's probably for the best. Yeah, no, it was funny. It was one of those games. If you'd offered me a 1-0, we're getting absolutely hammered all game, and we scored a penalty in the 90th minute, I'd have taken it.
Yeah.
But at 3-0, I felt myself getting greedy, and I was saying, go for more, go for more, go for more. And when I seen that shot come off the crossbar, it was almost like we nearly just taken the lead for the first time. It was unbelievable. Like that, it was one of those nights. I really thought, I was like, we're gonna get 4 or 5 here. This is crazy. Like,
we're getting quite good at hitting the crossbar in recent games. Southampton, Everton, and now
it just goes to show, like the guys like Xhaka's free kick. He can hit a ball, and then he's the same. We've seen it in the past. I think I don't know whether it's just that they're being instructed not to have a shot on goal, but like whatever about the forward play isn't great from these guys, but they can hit a ball. I can't see why we don't see this on a more regular basis from El Neni and Xhaka. Like that could be a nice little addition. Okay, you're not expecting them to get themselves in the box the way like Aaron Ramsey used to, or we see bits and pieces from Joe Willock and that. But if they can smack it from 25 yards out, that's a nice weapon we have there as well, which we're definitely not utilising enough.
Yeah, and you're going to get into it next, I think, but that happened at the 83rd minute when it hits the crossbar. So I don't know how you went into the next thing.
83rd minute, and then 2 minutes later, Tammy Abrams scores that goal. We so wanted it to be offside to keep that clean sheet for Brent Leno.
Yeah, but look, the penalty save, I think made up for it. But yeah, the last 5 minutes, we must have just
everything we've come to know and love from Arsenal, right, Anthony?
Yeah, look, we must have just had heavy legs. I let them away with it this time because they worked so hard for the 3 goals leading up to the last couple of minutes. It must have just been heavy legs going in, but my God, we tried everything in our power to throw that away at the end. We really, really did. But like I said, the Leno penalty save was almost as good as El Neni, making it 4-0. It was as good as a goal. But
yeah,
I couldn't believe what I was seeing at one point. When Chelsea got the goal back, I was saying to myself, oh, here we go. And then when the penalty, I was thinking, this is either going to be 3-3 or 4-3 Chelsea, the way our luck has been the last couple of weeks. Well,
yeah, it was really that kind of a crazy game. Anthony, I'm going to trouble you for your man in the match, and we'll go around the house this way.
Definitely Saka. Definitely, for various reasons. You could see he's really stepped up the past couple of weeks. For a guy that's only 19, he's really kind of taking it on his shoulders to sort of be the driving force. He's been kind of one of the bright lights that we've had. Never drops the head. Always looking to make something happen. And I think having him on the right wing, I think it definitely helped the likes of Bellerin. I think we've seen a much stronger performance out of Bellerin because of having Saka. We're very much a team who's reliant on the left-hand side of the pitch. We have a lot of talent there with Aubameyang, Martinelli now, guys like that. And then the right-hand side, you've got your Williams and your Pepe and that. And I think having
we need balance.
Exactly. I think we seen a much better balance there. We were definitely less reliant on the left-hand side last night. We had a nice balance on both sides. So, yeah, definitely Saka.
Yeah, very good. Emile Smith-Rowe actually helped. And, it was a little bit tricky to figure out the formation as well, what was happening with the lineups. I actually thought it was a 4-2-3-1. And I think people have talked about a 4-4-1-1 formation. But the balance, whatever about the formation, the balance was right for me in terms of the amount of blend between youth and experience. And I always like to think of yesterday's performance that Emile Smith-Rowe, Martinelli in particular, risk takers, they balanced out the conservative values of Xhaka and El Neni, who certainly frustrated me sometimes in going backwards in midfield. We're going to get into Brighton and that the challenge that presents. But Adam, before I give you my man in match, I'm going to go to Adam's man in match. What did you think as a neutral, right? Who is muted again? Adam, you're on unmute yourself.
Smith-Rowe, sorry.
Emile Smith-Rowe?
I'm going, yeah. For a youngster to, I think it was played in his first start and second Premier League game, I think he's played in. For him to put in such a great performance, I think he deserves every accolade in which he can get for that game.
He put in a shift, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He put in a shift.
And it was a no fear shift as well. It was a no fear shift, He
did not. That's excellent point. He did not look out of place at all.
No.
We always wonder what the crowds and non-crowds would have done. I think it probably helped that the crowds were not there. for Emil
Well,
Smith.
the thing is, right? The thing is, Ray, sorry, I'm glad you picked up. I always make excellent points. It's just you guys don't pick up on it. That's all.
Well, when you preface it with as a neutral, it sort of diminishes the importance of the rules. Like, you always preface your arguments with a disclaimer.
But no, I've gone back. Great performance for a youngster. Absolutely great performance, and let's hope that's the first of many.
Yeah, exactly. As the Assemble said, that's the idea, Ray. But the way Arsenal have been playing, I'm not sure if they are allergic to the ball and trying to work it closer. And I know Tony said Saka is man of the match. As I alluded to earlier, Gary, Granit Xhaka was up there at halftime, but I really thought Saka played really, really well, and he just pipped Granit Xhaka to man of the match for me. So I'm going to give it to Bukayo, and Tony does too. What's your man of the match, Gary?
Yeah, when at the end of the game, the first thing that came to my mind was, the Martinelli, Mills-Rowe, and Saka trio up there on our attack. Basically, I believe that's what made the difference for us. And then you kind of look at the game a little bit more, and Tierney also brings in something to this game as well. And because he got to play like the way I guess we want him to play, in a way he's the way that he excels the best at. So those four players all to me were four of the top players for the game. I know Xhaka did really well, but I feel like that was kind of attributed to those other four players coming and being able to perform as well. So I kind of looked at those four, and to me, I felt like for me anyways, I think it was Martinelli that kind of made the difference in this whole thing, because I think like you said, I think his energy and his pressure that he puts on the back line, I think opens things up for those around him. And Mills-Rowe was definitely able to take advantage of that, I believe, because of the presence of him being out there, helping with that attack. So I'm going to go with Martinelli, because I felt like he's been on the bench, on the sidelines, just watching this and been ready to go. And we're seeing why we're seeing that same guy running down the pitch for 90 yards and scoring a goal, and we'll see it again. But
yeah. One thing I wanted to highlight, Gary, is that I think he's close to getting that goal. There was a Tierney cross that found him perfectly. All he had to do was slot it away. He put it in the goalkeeper's arms. But I think next time Martinelli gets that chance, he's going to put it away for sure. He's getting close to full match fitness, and he will get there. Not surprising. I hope Mikel Arteta is watching this. That all three of us, or four of us, five of us, including Tony, have mentioned the three young players as our man of the matches: Martinelli, Emil Smith-Rowe, and Saka, who did get the man of the match award from us. So, Bukayo Saka. Real quick, Gary. Bukayo Saka and Tierney will make it difficult for Gabriel to be who's going to be man of the season. Who's going to be player of the season? Just where do you see it right now, and where do you see it panning out?
Right now, I think it's still Gabriel. Until they take it away from him. So the more that they play, I think they're going to put more of an imprint on there, and probably lessen the kind of the load that he's had to take on as far as being a leader back there. So I think that's what's going to happen. And the last thing we want is our center back to kind of be the leader, the top guy of the team.
You had a bad season. You had a bad season if your center back is your player of the year, right?
If Partey comes back and has a really good return back to the field, he could be the guy, because he's going to be the one that a lot of things are going to be going through, at least until we find another replacement for his partner, whoever that's going to be. So I kind of feel like it'll move. It can jump all the way to the striker wing position quickly, depending on how much time they get to play. But right now, I think it's still Gabriel. But I feel like we have a solid group of players. We just want to see them play together more, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Anthony, how do you see that panning out for player of the season? I'm going to throw Tierney in there alongside Bukayo Saka and Gabriel as the three. Do you see a fourth sticking up there somewhere?
I'm hoping the second half of the season, Aubameyang can be added to that if he
He's
finds his
got to
shoes
go some.
again. Yeah, but yeah, like you were saying there, usually it tells the story if your defender is one of your better players or your goalkeeper or someone like that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, as much as I like Gabriel, I'm hoping he has a quiet second half of the season, meaning that Arteta is going to start using the young guys and we start seeing more creativity going forward and that. So hopefully we're going to start seeing the more forward players start to move up in terms of their performances and that, and we might hopefully be having an argument at the end of the season, like was it Smith Rowe, was it Balogun, hopefully, or someone like that, Saka.
Aubameyang, Martinelli. We need these players to come forward. Pepe, even.
Yeah, well, look, I'm hoping by the end of the season, Leno, Gabriel, all these guys don't even come into the equation, because that'll probably tell you, how good we were going forward.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Adam, you still there? I was going to bring you in, and also it's not a bad idea, Gary, to take Gabriel out of the firing line a little bit. Give him a game or two, whether it's enforced in the red card, enforced in protocol, COVID protocol. It's maybe good to give him a rest here and there as well.
No, definitely, and hopefully, Marie will be one of those to help, to at least be that solid peg that we need when he's out, because he's been working hard, and I think he's been pressed. Putting a lot of pressure on himself, and that's why I think his play has been a little bit. He's taking a lot more risks than he should have to,
and
I think that's why.
I want to say, Gary, going back to Tuesday when Martinelli was injured, I know they're Brazilian, but he was the only player who went over to Martinelli to act like a teammate. I know that they speak the same language. They're probably friends and all that stuff. They're helping each other. Martinelli's helping him settle in. But I'd like to see more of our teammates be teammates and help Martinelli. When he's sitting there on the far side of the pitch, hurt. You know what I mean? They're just walking off for their orange juice or a cup of tea.
That's
orange.
These guys say that they're playing for each other and all of that, and you see that and you're like, what? The guy? Wait, what are you doing? Your teammates on the ground, sitting there by himself, looking around, and you're like, no teammates, nobody. So I think, and that to me, that part of that also I think comes from their manager as well, who he talks about it, a team, and he's got to help with that, because they need it. I think they need to be out there playing for each other. Don't worry about us. We're going to cheer for you, but play for each other when you're out there. And
clubs have lost that. Clubs have lost that over the last 20 years. We talk about Lee Dixon and Tony Adams, how they would read the riot act to certain players who didn't turn up in the Northern Derby. I didn't watch for very long. It was a show about Wayne Rooney, and when he got to the point about Arsenal being soft in the 2010 or 2008 season, I turned it off. But they were talking about Neville and Giggs having to go at Rooney because he wasn't acting in the best interest of the club either. We're not going to see that ever again in modern day clubs. It just is a fact, Anthony, Brighton. We got to go to Brighton now on Tuesday. We're going to flip the switch here a little bit. It's great to be in the flow of getting 3 points, and much needed 3 points. We're going to need to put a string of games together, because the league is compact, but not down at the bottom. We haven't improved our league position, I don't believe. We've improved our points, but not our league position. And we need to start winning more games in order to do that. We can do it quite quickly if we get our act together, but what does Brighton have in store for us on Tuesday?
Johnny Welbeck. There's a given goal straight away.
There's another one. Theo Walcott.
There's another one. There seems to be one every week.
Yeah.
Look, we know what we get from Brighton. They always give us a game. On paper, you look at the two sides and you think, it should be, for a performing Arsenal side, it should be a pretty handy 3 points. Never ever the case. Every season they seem to be just one of those kind of bogey sides for us. They always put it up to us, but I think a lot of that's living off the kind of past reputation of the Arsenal side that has showed up. You know, we've had some poor teams going into that fixture. So hopefully, like that, Arteta's got a couple of building blocks here now with the young lads, young, hungry, no fear whatsoever. You know, it's time to throw these guys in because, like I said, they're not going to have any fear whatsoever. They're out to play. They're out to make an impression. Like it's time to give these guys, you know, their opportunity, and it's going to give Brighton completely different problems to worry about. You know, they've played against Lacazette the last couple of seasons. They played against Xhaka, guys like that. They know what to expect. You know what you're going to get when these guys show up. It's time to put them up against, you know, Martinelli and Smith Rowe and Saka and the boys, and we see what happens then. Could be a complete different game.
Yeah, as Anthony's saying, and I completely agree with him, Gary. You go back to what you've been doing before, between November 1st and December 26th. That's a recipe for disaster, right? You got to take this blueprint from Saturday and take it almost perfectly forward to Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, that the Man United game, that win, I don't think any of us thought, you know what, this looks like a step in the right direction long term. You know, we'll take a team struggling against us and us getting a point, you know, getting points out of it. But it didn't look like something we can build on, right? That's not,
No,
we can.
it was a solid performance. We got a penalty. We got out of there.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it.
But yeah, this last game, I think this looked more like, you know, at least this looked like the plan, right? The plan that we, you know, brought players in, they actually performed, and we got something out of the game. So I think this is something more we can build on than kind of feeling like, you know what, we're going to catch these teams on a bad form. Even though Chelsea wasn't a bad form, we were able to actually make, you know, put our game plan in and actually execute it. And it looked good when we were able to do that. So at some point, teams are going to come in and they're going to be just on form. Like we're going to see in the next two games, I feel like those teams are playing as best as they can right now. And we're going to have to, you know, do the same thing, not take as many risks or anything like that. And, you know, I think our talent should overshadow the teams that we're playing. I don't think any team has an answer for Martinelli and Milsworth Rowe and Saka. I just don't think. I mean, they might have one of the three, but I don't think they have three players that can equal us in terms of those 3-0 coming at them as far as an attack goes.
One thing we have to put things in perspective. Yes, we've been talking for an hour and a half about 3 points against Chelsea. Let's put it in perspective. When we scored that penalty for the first goal, that was only our third goal out of 5. 3 of them were penalties out of in the last 10 hours of football. We'd scored 5 goals. 3 of them were penalties. You add in the free kick, that's another set piece from Granit Xhaka. From open play, we've only scored 3 goals from open play in over 10 hours of football, Gary. So
nobody wants to count the bad pass from Saka that went in the goal, right? So
it will count as a goal from open play.
But nobody wants to count down. I mean, I'm counting it because like I said, once again, we've always had chances. We had some really good chances in the Chelsea game that we weren't able to finish off. So we continue to play our game and I think we hopefully it'll get better. And that's the trick, right? We saw Martinelli play in the first game for 30 minutes, come into this one, play for about 60 plus minutes. Emil Rowe came in, gave us another 60, 70 minutes. They're only going to get better the more they're out there, more comfortable with what's going on. So hopefully we see, bigger and better things as they get game time. So that's the fear that we might not see that. That's the fear in the back of my mind that, Arteta didn't see that.
There can be no excuses. There can be no excuses, Gary, because let's say that Arteta has some previous experience of what it's like to play at Brighton Stadium already. Some dark times there in the summer, the Guendouzi gate and all that happened. So there's no excuses. He's not going into this blind. He knows what Brighton is going to give us.
Yeah. So, like I said, it could be easy, right? You don't change anything unless you got an injury or somebody's playing out of form. I think as an 11, we play pretty good. And if there's starters out there that we're missing, then they should come in, but we don't have any coming back. So I would like to see them stick it, and we've been talking about stick with the formation. I think we've talked about this since game 1 of the season. That you know what, it'd be nice to see the same 11, the same formation play in multiple games. You know, back to back to back games to see if it's working or not. And if this is the start, hopefully we'll see it again. You know, but right, I'm going to put the but in there. It's
Almost
Arteta,
there.
right? But it's Arteta. You know,
Yep.
he hasn't shown that he can be happy with one thing if it seems to be working, right? You know.
Yeah. Anthony, how important is it to continue on this vein now? Like we said earlier, 3 points on Saturday, it'll almost mean nothing if we don't get a positive result up there. I'm going to be disappointed even with a draw at this point in time.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we've set the standard now with that performance against Chelsea. So anything less than that, it's going to be an absolute disaster. It just won't be acceptable now.
Mm-hmm.
The players have shown they've shown what they can do. They've shown the level that they can reach. They've shown that they can be a good side. They can put it up to quality players. So if you're Arteta, you've got to be emphasizing, this is no longer a case of, well, go out there, we need a result. It's like, no, this is expected now. You've shown me you can do it, you can perform. You've beat Chelsea. Nothing less than 3 points is going to be good enough. And again, keep emphasizing with the young players, but I'm hoping he will keep faith in the players, because it'll be disastrous for team morale to, see your team go out there and put in that performance, and they're getting all the praise, and
Yeah,
you're
and he chops and changes.
Yeah, and then okay,
Right.
well, Willian's not sick this week, so sorry, Bukayo, you're on the bench. You just can't, because you can't give the players this platform, and then suddenly, just because you have this guy's on 220 grand a week, suddenly you're back on the bench. That's a quick way of losing the dressing room.
Yeah.
The young players right now, I'd imagine they look up to Arteta. He's been a good professional in the past. He came in with a good reputation as being a very promising coach. These are the young lads who are coming up through the ranks. They're going to listen. They're going to play how you instruct them to play. You have guys like Willian, who's played under different various coaches. He's 32, probably got his own ideas, and probably has himself on a certain pedestal and thinks, well, I'm good enough to do it this way. And you've guys like that with probably a certain mindset. Maybe they're looking at Arteta and kind of going, what does this guy know? He's only coaching a year. You know what I mean? So I would definitely, if I was him, I think the best option for him would be go with the young guys who look up to and trust him. They will implement his methods, no questions asked. And you've seen it against Chelsea. They got their chance. I presume that was the game plan. I presume that's what he asked.
It has to be. That's what was brought out on the field. It has to be.
So, yeah.
As the assemble said, truthfully, I think the more experienced players can see where Arsenal are going, and they're not going to be part of it. Arsenal have an exciting future ahead, but the work starts now. Looking, this was nagging at me, Gary. Brighton have only won 2 games out of 15, drawn 7. They've drawn 7 and lost 6. So they're not doing so well in the league. But this was nagging at me. Their last win at home was against us.
Yeah. So, and hopefully the players that were there remember that too, right? Remember that feeling, those ones that were there and saw it either from the bench or on the field. Hopefully they remember that, and they come out and played, and the players that weren't even a thought at that point because they were probably sitting in the U23s or wherever, also, look at that tape and see how that game went. And the way they played yesterday, they got to do that, repeat that again, do it again. You've seen it one time, do it again. We'll get hopefully more opportunities and able to put the game away. But I think it's going to be tough because they're coming in thinking they can get something out of this game as well. I mean, right? I think they went down to West Ham and were able to come back, I believe, is how that worked out. So
they were
they up to, or were they come back? I thought they came
They
back.
were up. They were up
They were
on
up,
each
they were
occasion.
up.
West Ham came
So-
back at them.
So
that's
even a worse
deflating.
situation. They feel like they got something. So
Yeah, that's deflating for them, and
Yeah.
we need to pile on a little bit, Anthony. Pile on Tuesday.
Yeah, we gotta
Put some
gotta
more
start
misery.
fast, right? I mean, that's the thing that everybody talked about in the last game in Chelsea is that we actually started fast, and hope to see the same again.
Yeah, we need to do the same thing again, right, Anthony?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, look, we set the standard now, so that's the level that should be expected week in, week out, and that applies to whoever's on the pitch. It should be the senior players, especially. I'm hoping Brighton might go into this game with maybe a bit of that Chelsea mindset, where they're, maybe they look at previous encounters and maybe go, well, we know Arsenal, a bit of a soft touch, but like I said, if you're sticking the same players out against them every time you play, they're gonna know what to expect. But if you're putting the young guys out there, it's completely unknown. It's going to be a whole different occasion, for those players that have played. Like if you compare the side that lost 2-1,
I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, like we could be a different team altogether on the day.
Completely different, because Kolasinac played that day, and Mustafi played in the back four.
Yeah.
And we have Tierney and we have, Rob Holding alongside Pablo Marie. Right?
Yeah. Well, look, hopefully different players.
In midfield, we had Guendouzi, Danny Ceballos, and Saka. And Saka's half a season on now.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're going to have a better midfield. Xhaka, whatever, and El Neni in there. They will be better than Guendouzi and Ceballos. Who knows? Am I making the case or not? I wonder.
You're scaring me more. Yeah.
It is a scary profession right now. Let's put a run together, Gary. Brighton, and very, very quickly after that, we're going to play West Brom, Sam Allardyce. Not going to be easy. But
No.
I hate to ask the question. Can we get 6 points in these kind of 2 games coming up?
If this is the start of the new form for Arsenal, then 6 points should be what we are aiming for.
Away from home in both fixtures.
Actually, right now I don't care. Our talent is too much that we shouldn't have an issue with that. So I'm going to say I don't care about where we're playing right now. But if we're playing 2 teams that are below us on the table and we're 16th or 15th, actually, we should be able to get something out of those games. So 6 points should be the goal. But we can't take any L's. Definitely no L's, because they did tie Liverpool, right?
We've had too many L's already. We had 10 last season. We've had 8 now.
Yeah, so like the players got to play. They can, if they play the way they're supposed to, we should be able to get points out of this. We should definitely be able to get wins out of this as well if we have a really good game. I don't know what I looked at part of the Liverpool game, but I'm not sure how they were able to get. I think actually that's what happened. Yeah, Liverpool probably should have put that game away in the first 30 minutes, right? You let them stay around, and next thing you know, they got confidence that we can get something out of this, and they did. And we can't do that. We got to put pressure on and hold it there, and I think the young players can do that. Hopefully, until we get a goal, and then we can settle in a little bit and then get it into the game. But I think we should be able to surprise some teams. Hopefully, scoring in the first 10, 20 minutes of the game. I think we should be able to do that, especially with the youngsters we've got going on.
It's a big ask, Anthony. But if we do get these 2 wins, and I know it's a big ask away from home, it's 6 points, puts us on 23 points, and that should be good for at least mid-table by the weekend.
I think still with the kind of the lack of fans in the stadiums, away games aren't as big a thing as they would be if you were
atmosphere is not there. Yeah,
packed stadium. So I think it's a perfect opportunity to go to an away ground, and it's not the same kind of vibe. You're kind of still a bit more free to play your game without the pressure of the kind of 12th man in the stands. But definitely, I think a lot of the performance is probably going to hinge on who he does select, because I think if he remains positive and goes out with a lineup even similar to what we've seen against Chelsea, then I'd be fully expecting 6 points, because we've seen how they can play as a team, how they can work for each other, the level that they can reach. If he goes back and reverts to the likes of Willian and that, I can't say I would have the same expectations.
Yeah, it's night and day. It's clear. It's clear to us what's going to happen if he goes back to those, and he can't do it, right?
Yeah, the style of play would, I think, it would just become more negative, and negative style of play, you're going to get negative results. We were positive last night. We went for it, and we got the rewards. So I think we've just got to keep going for it, and give this group of players a run in the team, let them gel, let them build bonds with one another, understandings. Like we saw last night, like I said earlier, I think Saka on the right hand side really helped Bellerin's game. Whereas, again, Bellerin is one of those players that comes under a lot of criticism, under a lot of fire. But again, I trying to look at it, trying to be a bit more sympathetic towards these guys now, really looking at what they got last night as opposed to what they got the last couple of weeks. You have Willian and even Pepe in front of you. You're not getting the same work rate as somebody like Saka, and Smith Rowe, Saka, those guys, and like that is going to affect your game, because the senior players are probably thinking, if you Pepe in front of you, you're probably saying, right, well, I've got to go on the attack when I can, but I know I'm going to have no defense behind me. I've nobody tracking back. You've got these kind of, I'd almost call them luxury players. They're okay to stick on when the whole team is playing well, and if you're a goal or two up, they might complement the team. But we need grafters and grinders now. You need guys who are gonna work. We the team needs a good kick up the arse kind of thing, and the young lads definitely gave us that. They definitely did. So definitely stick with them. Have to.
Yeah, definitely. Gary, we're going to know by the end of the year, the end of this calendar year, we're going to have a podcast on Wednesday night, and we'll know. It'll be the day after Tuesday. We'll know what happens. It's very crystal clear to Arteta and all of us, as Sam has said here. This is where Arteta needs to prove he can change and adapt. If he goes back to Willian, Pepe, Alba, at this time he will not win games, especially with Willian. Now, I think he can integrate maybe Pepe and Alba in there with Emile Smith-Rowe. We got to have that creative player, though. That will show the Chelsea game was a coincidence. We're going to know on Tuesday where Arteta, if he's going to fall back into his old failings, and I can't defend him if he keeps doing that.
Yeah, it's gonna put a little pressure on his career if he does that, because it looks kind of silly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what did you not like in the last game? And he couldn't even come out and say it, right? He couldn't even come out and say it after that game. What looked good about it? So that's telling as it is, So we're not going to be surprised when we see certain things on that Tuesday lineup, but hopefully we're not disappointed, right?
Yeah.
It should be an easy one. These guys had enough time to rest. Maybe they don't play in the next game, but they definitely should be able to play in these back-to-back games to kind of see if it actually does work. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that's what happens. This is my favorite phrase, right? It should be easy, but humans just mess it up every time. I mean, we do. This one
I like
seems
your
easy.
other one. I like your other phrase. I want to see a little bit of improvement.
Just a little bit. If we get a little bit more improvement, maybe we score the 5 goals that we didn't in the last game, right? I mean,
4. I'll take 4.
We'll take 4, but we had at least another 3 goals in there, opportunities where if it goes a different way, we should have scored, right? El Neni, Laka, and then the 2 that I think Martinelli will put a little pressure on the goalie, so we'll see.
Smith Rowe missed a very good chance.
Yeah, so I think we're getting. Yeah, we're getting better opportunities, and these guys, are going to hopefully improve on what they did. So yeah, little improvements from game to game. I think Arteta took a big jump, though. That's the thing. I don't want big jumps when they're easy, little small changes you can make, right? So hopefully, those guys are sick again. Aubameyang is got a tight calf, or thigh, whatever it is. He might need another game, and then maybe they'll play in the weekend.
It all seems very like Ozil to me, like creating these injuries that they're not available, they're sick. Yeah. David couldn't join us. He missed the bus. William, I don't know where he wasn't there. We had to leave without him.
He had a business trip he needed to take care of, so he's out of the country.
He was going to Dubai again. Yeah. Listen, you can find Gary on Twitter at Don't Waste That Tweet. Thanks, Gary, for joining.
Thank you.
Find Anthony, Republic of Arsenal podcast. He has a contract with Arsenal Fan Circle. He only shows up when we get 3 points.
Hopefully you'll see an awful lot
No,
more.
we'll bring you on if we get a draw or the odd defeat here and there. But Gary and I did not budget for more than 8 defeats this season, so we're at the quota already.
Yeah. We'll hopefully see you pretty much every week. So
Gary, I'll take going undefeated from here till the end of the season right now.
Yeah, that would be nice, but yeah. That would be nice, but
you want to do the Mexican wave, Gary?
You start it so I can follow on, because I'm bad.
You don't want to do it, do you?
I don't.
All right, we won't do it. If we get 3 points, I'll hold you to this. If we get 3 points on Tuesday, we're going to do the Mexican wave on Wednesday night. Okay.
Yeah, so, Anthony, could check it out on YouTube so you know what you're doing, because I don't.
Mexican wave. Everyone knows that.
There's no idea what.
As you say,
everything else.
Anthony, as you say in Ireland, go on out of that.
Go with that.
Don't believe you at all. Listen, this has been Arsenal Fan Circle. It's been a fun one. They're all fun, but we actually got 3 points yesterday. We can add to the kitty. And let's go. Arteta, you know the ingredients now. Let's put them in the next cake on Tuesday. Don't mess with the cake. Don't mess with the ingredients, because it doesn't taste very good afterwards. We're out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you on the next one. Come on, you Gunners, up the Arsenal.